Well, change from essence, man, and my videos are turning to a little of a religious climb. There are reasons as to why. I'm not going to preach I'm not going to do the repent and be saved thing. That's far from my mind. I'm not doing that. But I do want to share a few thoughts, and there are people who I agree with, people who I don't agree with. There are people who I do and don't like. Same as we all. There are a lot of people who we do like and don't like, all that kind of stuff. And hey, such is life, But I remember a very wise man once said that it's interesting how we measure someone's intelligence by how much they think like us, and how they and how we measure that and how we value that intelligence. What's really hard is recognizing someone's intelligence when you don't like that person. That's a real test, because that really puts you on the spot. Do you think someone's really intelligent, or do you just like them because they think like you? I mean, at the end of the day, you might not be all that intelligent. That's a real thought for you. If you ever want to do a bit of self introspection and kind of think, where am I? How do I think? Am I all that good at what I think about? It's quite interesting. But I want to move on and I want to share a few thoughts. And I'm not going to really preach my religion or Christianity in the fact of repent and be saved. That's not what I want to do today. What I want to do is share a few thoughts and a few very simple precepts, and kind of put a few things to people who perhaps might say, you hear the arguments, if I saw God, I would tell him what I think and stuff like that. Well, number one, before we even get to that point, I hear a lot of conversations. Where did God come from? Was he there at the beginning, or did he have a God? Or, all these questions, about the where God came from and what he did and how he became God. Well, look, let's be honest. Nobody in this world is even ready to even consider a 1% of that question. And I'll tell you for why. We're having a real hard time understanding the simple things, like loving thy neighbor and putting that into action, or forgiving people who have done us wrong. And I'm including myself in that. I carry a grudge. And it's one of my weaknesses, and it's something I've got to overcome. I'm by far a righteous person. I try my best. I strive every day to do what I can do. But when we talk about saying, I want to see an angel, I want God to explain to me exactly what's going on, or I'll give him peace of my mind. If you let's say Christ or God were to come down today and appear to you and say, this is what this is, are you prepared to take on everything? And let's just take this from a biblical thing. The apostles who lived with Christ, who worked with him, who became his most devout leaders, they were all killed. They went through hell and back, and they suffered everything. Are you prepared? Are you prepared to literally give up everything and to do exactly what you should be doing every second of the day, minute of the day? Do you have that sort of strength? Do you have that ability, that capability? Or would you be put under condemnation if you slip up just once? That's the real reality of this. If you were to see him, you would literally have to be spot on every single time. Now, bearing in mind, we all sin and make mistakes, and I'm not talking about the usual sort of forgetting to pray over food or something like that. I'm talking about really kind of standing your ground when there are huge groups of people there to kill you. So literally put you through the worst pain you can possibly imagine. And still go out and preach God's Christ's gospel, whatever it might be. Are you prepared to do that each and every single day, no matter what, under pain of death against people who say you can't? Are you prepared to lose your job, your livelihood, your family, your friends, your loved ones? Are you prepared to lose all that? Really think on that. Think on that. Now, I am going to come to the next thing, and I've seen people, people, the great minds of the world, deGrasse Tyson. I don't particularly like the guy for various reasons. I don't like his way of thinking, but I will say the man is intelligent. Doesn't think at all the same way I do. He doesn't have the same politics as I do, but the man is intelligent. But he was exploring where God comes from, all this kind of stuff. Look, again, we have so much about Christ's gospel in the Bible alone that we don't even do. We don't even follow. We don't even understand a single ounce of his teachings. We can't follow that. We don't, you can take years and years and years, and by the time you're about to die, come to a very, very, very brief understanding about what Christ was teaching. So really, let's be honest, do we really have time to explore all these things, all these ideas, all this let's be honest, theories, when we don't even have time to actually live the very basics? I mean, love one another, love God, love one another, serve each other. We barely understand how to do those things. So how can we even expect to get a brief glimmer of where God came from on an eternal aspect? And that's what we're talking about. God is an eternal being. He thinks completely differently from us. His ways are not our ways. So if we can't understand the very basics of what is laid down, we shouldn't even be looking at other things until we've got a good grasp of that. So what I'm going to say, and this is what I would say to anybody about religion or anything else, just do yourself a favor. Sit back and think these three things. Have I served anyone and made their lives a little bit better? That's number one. Have I reached out to someone and helped them move forwards? Serve that person. Have I loved someone that is particularly unlovable? Have I loved someone enough to show that I care about them? Might be in your life, in your home, with your wife, your husband, your parents. Believe me, looking after people is the hardest thing you can ever do. Caring for someone who cannot meet their basic needs. Have you done anything like that? Have you visited an old people's home? Lightened their day? Have you gone and visited someone in prison who has messed up and made some bad choices? Have you gone to them? Have you spoken with them? Have you given them a little bit of hope? Or have you thought, oh, well, you know, the scumbags are sitting in jail where they belong? Have you, you know, have you thought of those basics? You know? Have you forgiven people who have done you wrong? Have you let that go in your past? Think about those things, you know, because we don't need to know where God comes from. We don't need to know anything like that. What we need to know is how to look after each other. Hey, it's as simple as that. That's what we need to understand. And when we start understanding that, then maybe, just maybe, we might start understanding a few other things. Just a few thoughts for today. And you know what? It's not religious. See, I'm not being preachy or anything. I'm just giving an alternate viewpoint on some of the great minds. And I'm not just talking about Neil deGrasse Tyson. I'm talking about a lot of other people as well. I'm just using him as an example. And not because of anything else, just because I've seen a few videos of his. I've seen others as well asking all these questions. And quite frankly, they are useless questions that will not help you one little bit. One little bit. It won't help you. So there's a few things for thought. Have a think over. Catch you all again. Have a great day.